Welcome back. My name is Robert Newman. I'm the founder of InboundREM. We're going to jump into a video today talking about how to Zillow proof your business. Hopefully all of those of you watching are familiar with my channel, familiar with the fact that I have a 16-year history in sales and actually I have a 35-year history in sales and marketing, but 16 have been in real estate. So without any further ado, I've done a lot of videos on Zillow. You guys seem to love them. And I'm going to give you a little bit of a history lesson because I think that a lot of people don't understand like a couple of different things. First of all, I'm a big fan of Zillow. I think that Richard has done a great job. He revolutionized travel with Expedia. He did that back in 1996. He got a partnership with Microsoft, and then they made it part of their browsing experience until basically he outgrew being an internal component of the website. And what he did as part of that journey is he made information more accessible to everyone. The problem is that in the travel industry, finding out rates and best rates and things like that, that used to be the job of travel agents. So he effectively cut out the middleman. And when we say how to cut out the middleman, he cut out about 85% of the middlemen when he made these changes, when he made data easily accessible. Now there's so many places that you can get data for travel arrangements online. I don't know of anybody personally anymore that uses travel agents unless they're like corporate executive travel agents. Other than that, pretty much the travel agent that you used to see like in little, malls across America, gone, right? In 2005, he decided that he would take the same model, literally declared it, and his mission is equally accessible information to everyone. So he figured that if he made listing data for real estate as accessible as he did for travel information for travelers, that what would happen is that people would see the value in that, and thus he would have a second high-value business. Because once you have the attention of the consumers and provide the most value in the digital age, you absolutely positively make the most money. It almost doesn't matter how you monetize it, or that's the assumption. Didn't work out quite the same way in real estate. Now, a few things did work out exactly the same way in real estate. He made listing data accessible. He did so nationally and easily. He did it back right at the exception when you guys were done using those little yellow books, which most of you don't remember, but they existed. There was these listing books that they used to hand out, okay? Or you could go to newspapers and look for listings in the newspapers. And that's how people used to shop for real estate before websites like Trulia and Zillow and Homes.com and Mojo, and the list goes on and on and on and on and on and on. There's literally about 20 or 30 major portals, all basically with hundreds of millions of dollars of financing, okay, competing for this business, right? So what made this industry so ripe for takeover was that lack of access, and he was right. He instantly created one of the most valuable websites in the world. Zillow is somewhere in the top 20 or 30 most valuable websites around. Obviously, you've got Google and Facebook and companies way ahead of them, but they're on the list. They're somewhere up there. Okay, so he hit another home run in terms of his basic idea. But there is some stuff, and when they first did this, what they did that was also unbelievably proactive was they came up with a way to really get both buyers and sellers to the website. And how did they do that? They did that with a tool called Zestimates. Now, Zestimates are where they take property tax and other data that they can data mine, and they extrapolate things like average price increases across the country, across the demographic. There's a lot of mathematics. They can look at sales that are happening in real time. They have bought and have access to most national real estate databases when it comes to data, most city and state organizations as well. You take all that, add it together, what you get in theory is a relatively accurate way to estimate home price should you want to sell a home in a particular neighborhood. Unfortunately, they couldn't accommodate for additions, things like easements, mineral rights, property rights, water rights, location, schools, certain amenities that sprung up in the area, certain elements where a home should be priced dramatically above or below list, okay? So Zestimates have been the thing that has gotten Zillow closest to being sued. There is almost no way to have that information be incredibly accurate. And honestly, in terms of a data portal, if I was to say to all of you, there's two things that have hurt Zillow really, really badly. When they first opened up the doors to selling leads, they sold those leads to anybody. And a lot of people who both bought the leads and people who allowed Zillow to sell their information to just any realtor had bad experiences. And so in the very beginning, Zillow started off on shaky ground. But as any business does, they improve things a lot. And one of the ways they decided to improve things is they have slowly but surely been building up an ecosystem where they can get a lead, they can nurture that lead, they can call that lead, they can talk to those people, and if those people indicate that they're ready to buy or sell a home within 90 days, they then can send that lead to a qualified real estate professional with a proven track record, usually somebody that Zillow has already done business with and has a relatively high degree of certainty based on history that that real estate agent will sell the home in an extremely efficient and competent way, or buy the home, whatever it is. Additionally, they created review systems on their website, on their platform, so that you can see how many transactions an agent has done. They started to quantify and qualify people that were listing for their programs. And basically you would get a lower rating if you could not maintain a 5-star rating or something similar with the people that you were servicing, even when you are buying leads off the Zillow platform. Now, after all of this work has been done, Zillow is still losing money. They've been losing money the entire 20 years that they've been in business. They have never, well, I don't know for sure, but I don't think they've ever made a profit. They've just basically cost billions and billions, just like Amazon did before they finally made a profit, with this following assumption. BlackRock and the other people that have financed Zillow, because that is who one of the majority stakeholders is in Zillow, they need Zillow to own the real estate market. Why do they need that? Because it's the only way that Zillow is going to get to the billions of dollars of bottom line that they need in order to turn a profit. So here you've got an entrepreneur with this egalitarian view, and you've got all the very extremely black and white, hard-nosed investors who actually own the company at this point. I think Barton is down to 18% ownership. That's still significant, and it still gets him a big seat at the table, but he doesn't control Zillow. So what do all these investors who control Zillow want? Well, from their view, real estate agents are inefficient. And they're not wrong. Sorry. 80% of the real estate agents that want to buy leads from a platform are people that do not know how to market themselves, who oftentimes do not know how to follow up, who only have rudimentary sales skills in the sense of, yes, maybe they can establish a relationship to somebody they're calling, but if you started to say, what are some of the soft skills that go along with real estate? Can you review and analyze paperwork with a high degree of efficiency? Do you have any extra accreditations that make you slightly better, like some tax accreditations or green accreditations or anything that basically enhances your skill set beyond the idea of, I have a real estate license and I can buy or sell your home? Do you have any of those things going on? Some agents that I work with have as many as 20 certifications that they've gone to class for or school for in order to basically become the experts that set them apart from everybody else. People like that are the difference between like a PhD kind of lawyer and a guy that you see on a bench that's chasing an ambulance. Like it's that dramatic, as it is with any industry. In any industry, 10 to 20% of the people that work in the industry dominate 80% of it. And real estate is no different. And Zillow knows that. The 10 to 20% that dominate the real estate industry are, for the most part, not going to buy Zillow leads. Now, the exception in that equation are those entrepreneurs and business people, some of whom might be watching this video, who oftentimes do watch these videos. And what you guys are doing is you're out there using Zillow to prop up your lead flow. And all of this is, you don't really care. I talk to one or two of these guys a month, 300-400 agents, sometimes more. And all they want is a platform that generates leads. Ownership sometimes is a priority, but oftentimes not worth the work when you explain what owning a platform means. Like, usually can't do it. Why? It's an entrepreneur. He's got 9 other balls in the air. He wants his business just to run and run well. Does he have partners that can do all the work required when it comes to owning your platform? Probably not. Not unless he has a tech background or a CTO background or something like that. So very few people take it on. And again, no judgment here. You got to do what's right for your business. However, that leaves those people buying leads from Zillow to the tune of $10,000, $20,000, $30,000, $40,000, $50,000 a month. The numbers are insane. Now, there's one consideration that those guys usually either haven't or don't want to consider, which is when you're training a sales force to be lead receivers, all they know how to do is take a call that is already qualified and hand it to them, and they run that call. I have run so many sales forces where once you get addicted to the lead flow, there isn't a single one of them that ever goes out and seeks referrals or does any additional sales work. They go into work, they get their leads, they close them to the best of their ability, and they go home and go to sleep. For a very brief amount of time, part of my career, I did the same. And then I realized I was working for organizations that I shouldn't be working for, and I switched my career until I started to live and breathe whatever it was I was offering because I believed in it. But that's another video. So where does that leave us? For those of you that own and operate big teams, what you're doing, just to make my point really clear so that you can't miss it, is unfortunately you're setting yourself up for a situation that should your license get yanked with Zillow or your lead flow get diminished, you will lose a percentage of your business, probably somewhere between 10 to 30%. Just like that. In case those of you have not watched some of my other videos, they're moving Zillow Flex into more and more markets. They're expanding this program, and not only are they need to. It's not a question of if, but when. They have to increase their bottom line. Zillow offers, for those of you who read a newspaper at all related to real estate, it didn't go well. They had to close that segment of the business down. So where does that leave them in terms of making more money? Advertising isn't doing great because the real estate market is doing great. Please, come on, guys, do the math with me. There's only one segment of their business that could grow and grow well right now, and leads are the gold and oil of this business. They are just gonna, I will not put any names out that shouldn't be out, but I will say this, I'm not guessing, okay? So they're gonna expand this solution, this thing for themselves. Now, having said that, and hopefully I've painted a pretty good picture about what the Zillow picture is, and for those of you who are buying leads at $10,000, $20,000, $30,000 a month, you're not gonna change anything based on this video, and I know it. What I'm hoping that you're gonna do is protect your sales teams, and protect your sales teams by starting to add things to those sales environments that Zillow can't compete against. And for the other people, like all the single agents who are way impacted by this, all these people running teams in mass, like listen, 80% of our 300 customers are independents of the world. They are the people that want to be independent, want to have a rock solid business, have dreams of being independently wealthy, but not of working for other people. Those are the people that we do business with. The people that want to bulletproof their business and are willing to work a little harder for a longer and deeper payout. Also, not for nothing, a lot of my business is about independence. Creating systems that bulletproof your business. I don't know about everybody else, but I get really tired of my life going into the red line. I've been a commission-only salesperson since I was 17. And the amount of times that I've gone from feast to famine, feast to famine, feast to famine is so beyond counting. And it probably created this weariness where I said, you know what, I don't mind working harder for longer if it stabilizes my business. And this is the problem with some of our solutions. Inbound marketing solutions are not the fastest, the cheapest, or the quickest. They just are the best, and they create resiliency, and they give you independence, and they give you more money. But they take a while. So there you go. There's about 5% of you. That will sound reasonable. Military people, sports people, religious folks, all those people who've had disciplines that have required a deep amount of spiritual and mental discipline work, this is going to resonate. Those are all of my clients, people who are in recovery like me. Because the solution here, guys, is beautiful and simple, but not easy. Zillow has two major weaknesses, 3. They really shit the bed with this Zestimate thing. There's so many issues as it relates to this. The solution to basically sell against an obvious flaw with Zillow is two things. One, adding listings to your website is a no-brainer. What has started to be a closing tool for me and my team and other people is price will be verified when we talk, okay? Believe it or not, this is an important thing to start adding to your closing mechanisms. Price will be verified. I will verify the price, that the price is accurate, is guaranteed on my website, things like that. Words and language like that. We guarantee that these prices are correct. And if they're not, we'll take you out to dinner, whatever, something, right? So you sell against the idea of Zestimates. You literally put that in language, content. For those of you that create videos, you say, I will double check the price for you before we go out and look at the property. Because we all know that Zestimates is not always right. Okay, that little nod to how incorrect that website can be at times. I've seen it be as up to 20 to 40% off. It's not insignificant when they get it wrong. Number two, reviews in the right place matter as more than ever. They are a solution against Zillow, okay? What is also a solution, and this is probably the bigger solution of the two, reviews are always important, which is why I won't mention them, but Zillow has reviews too. They have reviews. So this is something that you could do there if you're a Zillow client and you want to improve your closing rate on the advertising that you're doing. You just get more and better reviews in Zillow. I have videos up on my website that will show you how to do reviews, okay? The link to my website will be in the description of this video. But the other solution is to talk a lot about lifestyle. Over and over and over again, every report I've ever read, the conversations I've had with people who work that are internal to Zillow, every single person that I've ever spoken to says that the weakness in the big platforms is the fact that they simply have no local expertise. They don't know the schools. They don't know what like a valuable amenity might be, even though it's logical. You may not understand that you're selling a cabin in Aspen and maybe it's important that it have 3 fireplaces. Not 1, not 2, but 3. 1 for every major living area. Why? It's cold. Who knows? But that is not reflected properly in these estimates. Those are some of the places that get these things wrong. Homes that live in specialized territories where there are certain amenities that if you're there or you're even close to it, you understand, oh God, you need this. Lakes without slips, you know, boats, I can go on and on. There are so many different property types where it's important, or you live in a place like I do, which is completely blue collar and every single home is the same, except for 2 on my block. 1 is twice the size. Why? Because the owner built up a second edition. He went through 5 years of waiting in the queue at the city before they finally approved it. And now he has a home twice the size on the same block that in the same house that he raised his kids in. And my house, the house that I live in, what do I have? A saltwater running pool and jacuzzi, or at least they used to be saltwater. And I've got like a really built out yard with a gated area around the pool and quite a few different things that relate. Basically though, it comes down to I have a bomb pool and jacuzzi. And it raises the value of this property by about 20 to 30%. I also have an altered studio space in it now, which would probably raise it by another 20 or 30 grand. That's how much I spent on it. So you've got those 2 things in place for a total of about $60,000, which is about 10%. Just right there, hidden, unless you come or knew the area or understood why those things would be valuable. And then last but not least, and this is still a little bit of context and a little bit of solution, guys, right now, if you live in Van Nuys, you know that we are becoming one of the hottest markets in LA. Why? Because we're one of the few places you can still buy a home for under $1 million, and $1 million is average in Los Angeles now. So Van Nuys is central, it's close to freeways, it's extremely blue collar, but no more. It's becoming gentrified more and more every day because the only people that can afford to buy $1 million homes in the middle of the city anymore are people that are relatively well-to-do. So even though I live in a home that is not in the best of areas, it's becoming better every day. You know that if you live in Van Nuys. You do not know that if you don't. You know that if you work in Van Nuys. You do not know that if you don't. Just down the street from me, the writer of Dumb and Dumber lives. And I mean a block away. Okay, so the area is changing a lot, very, very fast. If you can figure out a way how to explain that on your website, make sure that you are really, 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 really dumping effort into being a local expert and making sure that people understand what local means. Anything that's local to you, that is important. Landmarks, schools, achievements, scour your local newspaper, sign up for all the local blogs, see what people are talking about so that when you see something unique, you can add that to your website. Knowing the football scores in Texas is going to be incredibly relevant. Knowing where the best tailgating party is also incredibly relevant in most parts of Texas, especially South Texas. So if you did those things, and somebody came to your website, 2 of my top accounts are in Texas. I speak from experience. They are both having record years right now. They are experts. Experts, experts, experts. They have relationships with all the local builders. They have content on the site that is personal and friendly and points to the good restaurants and things like that, but also points to other things that are appropriate for rapidly expanding environments like South Texas. So ladies and gentlemen, the last thing I'm going to tell you is that I understand there's been a lot of information. For those of you who are wanting to understand how to truly protect your business from Zillow, and if I haven't covered all your questions, there will be a link to my calendar in the description of this video. I encourage you to call me. There's no cost, no obligation, no anything. I won't even try to sell you something. Scout's honor. I will just try to help you. As long as you've been in real estate for, let's call it, longer than a year. All right, thanks. I've been Robert Newman. Go ahead and give me a thumbs up if you think I did a good job. Until next time.